Alright, now it's time to start PID tuning. If at any point in time I'm using a term or reference that you just don't know what I'm talking about, watch the last video because I explain all the terms and everything like that. So that's why I separated the two videos, trying to keep this one as short as possible. So what I will do now is go ahead and fly this with the default PIDs and, just to show you what it looks like so we can see how much we have improved by the end of this. So I'm just going to take it easy. First, let's see if we get any prop wash. I'm just going to take it straight up, let it fall down, give it some throttle. And you see how it kind of shook left and right? That's prop wash. I'll do it again. Right there. Another way to get prop wash is to go forward and then make a quick turn. And like I said in the last video, you're kind of flying into your own disturbed air. So we're getting a little bit of prop wash. Alright, now let's check the bounce back. And bounce back is almost non-existent. And part of that's going to be because I switched my filters to PT1 and I also removed the first notch filter. So the more filtering you can remove, the better. It's going to help with both prop wash and bounce back. But we are still getting a little bit. So the very first thing that I do, and I'm just going to reiterate this again, I know you're sick of me saying this, but there's a million different ways to tune PIDs. There's no wrong way. So if you don't like the way I do it, and you dislike this video, oh well, I'm really not going to care. I'm going to keep tuning the way I want to. But I do advise watching many other videos to see how everyone else tunes PIDs, because maybe you'll find an even better way that you prefer more. So what I do, I only worry about pitch and roll first. I don't worry about yaw. That's dead last. For pitch and roll, I will reduce the D to 5. Because I want almost no D at all, but I do want a little bit. I don't want to completely turn it off. I will also increase the P, which by the way, we're not touching I's right now. I do P and D first on pitch and roll. So for P, on pitch and roll, I'm going to increase this until I get oscillations. And like I said in the last video, oscillations is when it just starts shuddering like this. And I don't mean oscillations from prop wash, I mean oscillations when you're just flying forward, like you're not even inside of your own disturbed air. And this usually takes a lot, so instead of going low and increasing by 5 or 10 every time, I'm actually going to start high and then go low until the oscillations actually... I'm going to start off with oscillations and keep lowering it until it goes away. And I'm only going to do one at a time. I will do either pitch or roll first. It really doesn't matter, but I don't do both at the same time because you could be getting oscillations from one but not the other, and if you do both at the same time, you don't know which one it's coming from. So let's just start with roll. What I will do right now is set my roll to 80, and like I said, 5 on the D for both. Alright, so I'm going to take some pretty sharp turns and give it a little bit of throttle. Did you see that? I don't know if you can hear it, but it has a very distinct sound. But if you keep giving it throttle and it keeps rocking back and forth, that means that's how you know your P is too high. So let's see if I can do it again. That right there. What I've now done is reduce the roll P down to 70. You can go by increments of 5 or whatever you want, so you could go down from 80 to 75, but I'm just going to go by 10 to speed things up, but you get the idea. So now I'm just going to fly it again and see if it's still too much. Because what we're trying to do is, I'm trying to get on the verge. Like if this is the line where this oscillation starts, I'm trying to get just underneath that line. Oh, that's much better. We're still getting a little bit. And notice how I'm not going full throttle, because if you go full throttle, that's going to make it like go away faster. I'm probably giving it about 60-70% throttle and just holding it there and seeing how long it keeps shuddering like that. So what I did this time, instead of decreasing another 10, I just went down 6 to 64 on my P for roll. And let's do it again. Now keep in mind that we're not completely going to get rid of oscillations because we don't have any D right now. So you're not trying to lower it until it's like absolutely gone, because that's impossible and you'll just have it way too low. Alright, I would say that is good. Like I said, I know we're still getting some, but once we bring the D back in, it's going to go away. Now what I've done is leave the roll P at 64, and then I increase the pitch P to 80, and we're going to do the same exact thing. And once again, the D for both is still at 5. Okay, so I really wasn't getting any like super bad oscillations just then. But the next thing I need to explain is there is no perfect P. It's going to depend on you and your preference. That's why I say a million times there's so many ways of tuning PIDs, because everyone's different. At this point, it comes down to feel. So say, you know, this value of 1 to 100, there isn't like a specific and perfect P value. There's going to be a range of, you know, a range that you can be in, a window, and you can be within this window, and you will get that good flight. But this window is going to be user preference. So you have to find, it's something you have to feel. I can't show you, it just feels different. So you will have to find the window to where you get oscillations too low, and it's just not going to perform well at all, too high, and you will get those oscillations that I just showed you. Find that window and then play inside of that window to see what you personally prefer. So what I'm going to do, I have a pretty good guess. I'm going to drop it down to, I'm going to drop my pitch P down to 72 and leave it there for now. And I will come back to the P's, you know, we'll get there. So now we have the P's for pitch and roll set good enough, pretty close. I mean, you can spend even more time with it, get it right where you want it. But like I said, you will have to come back once you, because the next thing I have to explain, if you change a value for like I or D, that's going to affect another value for, say, P. Or you change a D, that will affect P, or you can change P, and that could affect the D or the I. So you're going to be jumping around back and forth a lot. Well, I'm trying to, you know, show you the quickest way to do this. So now what I will do is move on to the D. Think of P as, I guess, performance, how you want it to perform. Once it's set, like I said, there's a window, you have to just find out how it feels and what you like. The D, think of that as like correction, like the flight controller correcting your errors. Not your errors, but the P's errors. So what I will do now is, unlike the P's, how I did those individually, I will increase the D's together at the same time, because you don't have to do them separately. And once again, this is going to be a feel thing. And increasing the D, what this will do is will further reduce prop wash. It will also further reduce other types of oscillations, and also that bounce back from those really fast flips and rolls. So you might be able to see the difference as I keep increasing D, but once again, it's kind of like a feel thing. It's half and half. Now here's my warning. You can increase the D too much, and it will smoke your motors. With the P and the I mean, you can jack them up as high as they will go, and it's not going to damage anything, but D will damage motors. So whenever you increase the D, start low at 5, and I mean, increase it by, maybe 5 at a time, 10 if you're feeling adventurous like I am. And every time you increase the D, only fly it for maybe, 15 seconds, and then land it and fill your motors. And if they're too hot, then go ahead and lower the D back down, or add more filtering in if you did watch my video on how to remove filters. but I would recommend, it's better to remove as much filtering as possible and just decrease the D. That's your better bet. Now, because I already flew this with the default PIDs, and I didn't show you, but I did fill my motors, I already know that the default D isn't too high. So I'm going to start off at, I don't even remember what default was, I already forgot, but I'm going to start off in 25 for both pitch and roll. If you don't know how hot is too hot when referring to your motors, just watch my filtering video, link in the description, and I explain everything. Something else I forgot to mention, whenever you are increasing your D, not only can you increase D too much because that's bad for your motors, but also, just like P, you will also get less performance. Because if you increase the D too high, even if your motors aren't getting too hot, they're going to be overworking themselves, and the performance it's not going to be there. So because I got my P's set for roll and I, and I just increased the D to 25 on both, I'm going to check for prop wash again by going straight up. So we're getting a little bit. Yep, right there. Now let's test it by taking some sharp turns. Even though we are still getting some oscillations, we can already see a big difference from when we had D all the way down to 5. And now I will fill the motors. I just increased the D on both to 30, and one thing I didn't do was do rolls and flips, but we'll do it this time. Alright, so prop wash is looking a lot better. At least falling down. Let's take some sharp turns. Still getting a little bit. Now let's do some rolls. And what we're looking for is bounce back. And we're getting some bounce back. I'd say the roll bounce back isn't that bad, it's mostly pitch. But even pitch isn't that bad. Now my motors are pretty warm right now, so I don't want to increase D no matter what. Like, that's it. I'm done with D. I mean, at least going too high. Now, what I just did was decrease it to 25 on pitch and roll. So what I'll do now is go back to the P and see what we can do with the P. Actually, I just thought about it, and I'm going to set my D to 25 on both, and I'm going to come back to P and D later on, but you guys get the idea now. I'm not going to show you, it takes me a week to fully tune a multi-rotor. So I'm going to leave the P's and D's alone. Now let's move it on to I. And now you can think of I as how well it holds its position. Because sometimes you can give it full throttle and it will, tilt up or tilt down, left, right, or it might do a combination of both and tilt like that. Also, the anti-gravity feature, which is somewhat new, does play into this. I'm not going to explain that. I'm trying to keep this as simple as possible. Joshua Bardwell has a video on anti-gravity. If I think about it, I'll leave you a link in the description. But anti-gravity is basically like super increasing your I whenever you move your stick at a certain rate. And you can adjust the strength and time of both. Let's not worry about that. We're just going to adjust I. And by the way, just to clarify, I don't have anti-gravity turned on at all right now. I'm trying to, like I said, I'm trying to make it as easy to follow as possible. So now let's work on eyes. What I will do is just fly it and kind of just pop it up. See how it's dipping? It's hard to tell which way it's dipping because I'm kind of yawing a little bit. I mean, to be honest, and this is just me, it's not bothering me one bit. It's kind of rolling to the left. So let's bring it back. Alright, so for the roll eye, I just increased it from 40 to 55. And let's see what that does. It might have been too much. Yeah, that's too much. Alright, so I just dropped the roll eye from 55 down to 48. Now I know the eye is not perfect. I am going to go back and tweak it to make it perfect, just like the P and D, but let's move on. Now for yaw. I'm not actually going to show you yaw because yaw is something you really can't see. This is really something you just have to feel. The default settings for yaw felt pretty good to me, but I did increase the P to 76. I still have the I and the D left alone for yaw. And honestly, that's probably where I'm just going to leave it for good. So basically my yaw is completely finished. Now is the time when you go back and you retweak everything. And I normally don't do this in one sitting. Like I said, it takes me a full week to get my PIDs exactly where I like them. And that's why I preach about the flight controllers that use Betaflight's OSD feature, or like a minimum OSD micro that uses MW OSD firmware, because the entire time I've been changing my PIDs through my transmitter. It's fast, easy. Well, I'm going to tweak it a little bit more, and then I'll give you the flight footage of the final product, or at least final for now. Like I said, I'm never done tweaking. But now you get the idea of how to tune PIDs. So, hope you enjoy this, have fun with it, don't get too pissed off. Thanks for watching, I'll see you again soon.